Hello, I'm here to share another devlog for CrimeWave. I'll share how the game will be generating lots and buildings. I will be defining block areas, tracing block shapes, filling them, and then converting them to 1x1 units and using that as a grid to place buildings in.
So I had a problem. In order for buildings to generate properly into blocks, we need to know where the road actually begins. In the game, roads will come in different widths. Even though they're meant to go in a 10x10 zone, the widths vary depending on various factors. If we directly convert zones into 10x10 units for lots to fit in, buildings may be way too far from the road and look unrealistic. A possible solution is to store the offsets from the road into the zone data, then retrieve to adjust placement of lots when placing them in. Here's a possible solution.
Since the game is already using our road textures to define where a road is, all I have to do now is do the opposite. If there isn't a road there, it is a block area.
The game will save blocks that contain zone information. Zones are 10x10 unit areas, and it contains the position of the zone, as well as information needed for converting to units, which are 1x1 tiles, by using offset and road border information. In the regular scanning of the player's surroundings, once the scan enters a zone that has no roads, it will enter block conversion mode. It has several steps: border detection, border trace, block fill, and zone convert. In border detection, it uses the initial scan to start and checks the zone on the right to see if it's a road. Once it determines the right side is a road, it has found the border and will start border trace. Border trace's goal is to trace the block's outlines and log them. My first attempts at this were not so good. In this video, you can see my border tracing outside of the block into infinity until it ran out of memory. However, I ended up with a process that works pretty well. First, we start by determining available areas to start tracing. To do this, we use its current direction, in this case, east. Then it determines the right, forward, left, and backward directions. It checks if that direction has a road. If it does not, it will go in that direction. It will always choose in this order. Since it will always check the relative right direction first, it can trace out the edge successfully. It will stop once it has ended up at the first coordinate position and in the same direction. It must check the same direction as well, or it will prematurely end the block trace in certain circumstances. It will also determine offset based on nearby roads, which will help convert to 1x1 units more accurately.
Once it has determined the outline, it will start a block fill.
I initially had some problems with this one. Block fills with duplicates, block fills not being generated. I eventually found a process that worked. It will scan column by column, going in an upward direction. If it detects that block is a border, it will toggle a boolean, which will tell it to fill, or not fill. This allows it to fill only inside the marked borders. Once all zones are recorded for a block, it can now convert all zones into units, which is basically a list of coordinates that represent 1x1 meters. Here you can see the blue 1x1 units that are generated. Now that we generated a block, it will pretty much stay there forever. We should remove them when the player is not in the area anymore. Blocks will be removed if the block is not contained in a zone scan around the player. Here you can see that blocks are being removed if the player's zone rendered distance is outside of the block. Now that we have a list of 1x1 units, we can start placing lots at each unit by randomly selecting lots based on coordinates. And the size of the lot will remove units available to be placed inside. I'm still exploring solutions. I would like to see if this can be simplified. Perhaps some more analysis of how lots and buildings will spawn will allow me to reduce the complexity. That's my development so far. I'm wondering if you find these interesting or enjoyable, as I'm wondering how much detail I should be putting into these videos. If you want to know how I did something in more detail, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching.